Hi guys, my name is Anya and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. Today we're going to be comparing 3 different, very popular matcha recipes on a scale of 1 to 5 in 3 different categories. First, how easy was the recipe to use? Second, the taste of the outcome. And third is what I call the matchiness of the dessert, meaning how much can you truly taste the matcha in this dessert. Let's get started. First, you're going to grab milk and sugar and add it to a saucepan over medium heat. You're going to mix it together and wait there until the milk becomes warm. Now you're going to crack 3 eggs into a bowl and start whisking, adding in the now sweet and warm milk into the mixture, as well as the melted butter. Now you're going to grab the dry ingredients, the flour, the matcha powder, and the baking powder, and you're going to sift it through a sifter into the liquid mixture. Now mix the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients together and sift it through a sifter to make sure that the mixture doesn't have any clumps. Refrigerate this mixture for 1 hour and then it's crepe time. Try to make sure that the crepes are as circular as they can be and use up all of the batter. Flipping over after about 2 minutes on each side. And keep going until you run out of batter. Now, to make the whipped cream, you're going to take heavy whipping cream and whisk it up. Slowly adding in sugar. Whisk, 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 and it's going to give you the most heavenly whipping cream. Now, it's time to assemble. Use whipping cream to attach the crepes together and hold the cake together. And keep going until all your crepes and whipped cream have run out. And here's the result. This recipe of the matcha crepe cake, first on the scale of 1 to 5, how easy was the recipe to make? I give this a 3 because honestly I think I over whisked it a little bit because the instructions weren't too clear, and also it was kind of hard to tell what the consistency was supposed to be like. Also, I didn't waste that many crepes, but I think the recipe might have been a little bit too small for the cake that I was gonna make. Second, how was the taste of the outcome? I give this also a 3 because the crepes were a little bit rubbery, but the cream was also not too sweet, so it was a little bit less sweet than we would have hoped. And third, the matchiness of the recipe, I give this a 4 because I think it did taste very much like matcha, but I have one suggestion. If you can, add a little bit of matcha powder into the whipped cream to make it a more matcha overall taste. Now let's get to the recipe of the Mochi Matcha cookies by Num Live. So first we're going to combine the glutinous rice flour with milk and then add in the sugar and the cornstarch. We're going to mix that up, cover it with a plastic wrap, and poke holes in the plastic wrap. We're going to put it in the microwave and set the timer for 2 minutes and about 45 seconds. After it's done cooking, we're gonna open up the plastic wrap and put in our butter. We're gonna combine everything and try to make it a very nice mochi mixture. Should be very sticky, but you're gonna try to wrap it with a plastic wrap and put it in the fridge for about 30 minutes. To make the matcha cookies, first you're gonna start by whisking butter in a bowl. Then you're gonna add brown sugar, and then also baking powder. Scrape off the bowl and add the dry ingredients such as matcha and the flour. Combine the wet and dry ingredients so that they become a smooth texture. Now start whisking it all together to give it an extra mixing, and crack in 1 egg. The egg will help combine everything together and make it a smooth texture. Then place it into a bowl and put it into the fridge for also about 30 minutes. Now you're gonna make little balls of mochi so that they're ready to put into the cookies. And then you're gonna grab a little bit of the cookie batter and try to put the mochi inside and carefully cover the mochi with the cookie batter. Keep experimenting until you get it right. You're gonna have something like this. They're not gonna be perfectly shaped, but they're gonna turn out really good. You can also add chocolate chips. And then you're gonna bake them for 12 minutes at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. So for these matcha mochi cookies, I have seen these around the internet a lot and I really wanted to give them a try. So for the easiness of the recipe to use, I give this a 3.5 because the cookie batter and the mochi was very fun and interesting to make, not too hard, but then the combining of the two was very hard. As you can see, I was really struggling in the previous video because it was just a very soft cookie batter and making sure that it holds its shape was a very tough job to do. On the taste, I give this a 4.5. Honestly, it was super delicious and it was super interesting how the little chewy mochi was inside the cookie, but I wish I would have added more mochi inside of the cookies to bake because it was really a cool part of the whole cookie as a whole. I give the matchiness of these cookies a 4.5 because it did taste very much like matcha, and the cookies themselves had a lot of the powder, so it was really tasty. And now let's start the recipe for the matcha cream puffs. So first you're gonna add milk and butter into a saucepan over medium heat. Then you're gonna also add in the sugar and mix that together. Then eventually you're gonna add some flour into the warm milk and mix that around to create this kind of texture. It's a very funky texture, but it's gonna be really warm, so you're gonna have to cool it down in a mixer or some kind of a fridge. Then you're gonna add your 3 eggs, one at a time. Make sure they're mixed through. The consistency should be something like this. And then you are ready to scoop out the batter into little balls. Now these are ready to go into the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. First, you're gonna start by adding 1 tablespoon of the sugar and the milk into a saucepan over medium heat to start warming it up. Then you're gonna add sugar, cornstarch, and the egg yolks to a bowl and start mixing. Once the milk gets warm, you're gonna add little by little of the milk into the egg mixture and combine it well with a mixer. And then it's gonna turn into something like this. It's gonna be very foamy, but you're gonna pour it back into the saucepan and start mixing it around to get to the desired cream consistency. Then add the salt and the vanilla. Then add your butter and start mixing it up. Last step is to add the matcha for the matcha flavor. Now it's time to assemble. Cut the puff pastry in half and pipe the cream into the puff pastry and put the 2 sides of the puff pastry together. I give this recipe a 4.5 of how easy it was to follow, because I thought this was going to be a really hard recipe because it had the little eclair kind of pastry and the cream also separate. But overall, it was quite easy to follow and I really got what I wanted to make. So I think I'll give this a 4.5. For the taste, I think we're going to give it a 5 because it was super delicious, super sweet, and it did come out a little bit flatter than I would have wanted, but it was very delicious. And for the matchiness of the recipe, I think I'm going to give it a 3 because honestly you couldn't taste that much matcha. It was just the pastry and the cream in itself being super delicious, but the matcha did not stick out at all in this recipe. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope you're going to try these recipes along with my video, as well as check out the recipes down below. And please comment and tell me how you like them and what I should do next. Thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you later.